How do decentralized exchanges on blockchain technology affect price transparency and diffusion compared to centralized exchanges? By Nick Zimmerman. First off, what is an exchange? An exchange is any place where a transaction occurs. So what is blockchain? It's an auditable ledger secured by cryptography. Every transaction can be recorded on a timestamped database that is public or private. Nodes or any user who has downloaded the blockchain onto their computer validate these transactions through a consensus protocol on a peer-to-peer network. A traditional centralized exchange is where most transactions take place today. They have highly liquid markets, transaction costs are low or even obsolete, and the exchanges are protected by the government. The cons are, it is normal to see financial institutions pay multi-billion-dollar fines for conducting illegal activities. Much of the world is still underbanked due to lack of financial access, and risks are heavily concentrated among few institutions who collect economic rents and engage in high-risk business activities. A SEX simply moves the centralized concept onto blockchain technology and offers many similar advantages and disadvantages. They differ in that exchanges can be custodians, which limits the number of third parties involved. This leads to the disadvantage that you do not actually own your coins, so if the exchange is hacked, you could lose your coins. This is a big risk since these exchanges are not insured by the government, so you need to make sure you're using an exchange you trust. Centralization also leaves the exchange vulnerable to a single point of failure, such as hacks, outages, and other attacks. The pros of a DEX is that anyone can use one. They provide privacy and they are non-custodial, which eliminates third-party risk and rents. The disadvantage, since there is no custodian, is if you lose your keys, you cannot recover your funds. In a DEX, liquidity is dependent on users providing liquidity to the exchange. This presents a liquidity risk when exchanges are new or they're trading a new token. Transaction fees vary dependent on network activities, so when congestion is high, costs can get into the hundreds of dollars. And a DEX relies on smart contracts, which is a computer program that automatically executes a transaction if the terms of the contract are met. And with this comes the risk that if there's any error in the code, it can cause it to execute improperly or be vulnerable to attack. Centralized exchanges, although they have set fees, are not as transparent as DEXs since they have a hidden fee. Institutions who are market makers match your orders to make markets more liquid. This is great, but they also have the goal of making profit themselves. This leads to the possibility of front running, where a market maker trades ahead of their customers' orders in order to give themselves a better price. Although it is illegal, it still happens. The more volatile the market, the more profitable it is for the market makers to front run. And so in a centralized blockchain exchange where the markets are very volatile, it's much more rewarding for them to front run. And since they're their own market makers, it's a lot easier to do so as well. DEXs, however, prevent front running as they use an automated market maker where smart contracts have set rules in the code to match orders and prevent users from being able to conduct such activities. Price diffusion also varies depending on the type, and the more volatile the market, the bigger the impact. Price slippage refers to any time a market participant receives a different trade price than expected. On centralized exchanges, you can set limit orders so that when a trade executes and falls to a certain price, it will prevent negative price slippage. However, this carries a risk of your trade not being executed at all. On DEXs, price slippage is minimized by the unique liquidity structures enforced by the smart contracts. Flash attacks are another risk that centralized exchanges are exposed to. It's when trade happens very rapidly, causing a deep fall in recovery in price. This happened with the Dow in 2010, where a 1,000-point drop occurred and the price recovered in 15 minutes, and this hurt anyone who had a limit order. Impermanence loss occurs only on a decentralized exchange, and it's when a token pair drops below the price in which you provide liquidity at. You can see here on April 5th, I provided $161 worth of liquidity. 2 days later, the price dropped and I had an impermanence loss of $9. However, since I didn't withdraw the liquidity and the price went back up, I did not encounter the loss. And that's why it's called impermanence loss, because it's not a permanent loss unless you withdraw it. Here I have an example of a flash crash on a SEX. The above chart highlights Ethereum on February 22nd earlier this year. You can see a 29% crash on Coinbase, which is normal given the current volatile state of the cryptocurrency market. However, on the image below is on the exchange Kraken, where you see a 178% drop on the same day, which is $800 greater, which means it forced the sale of any limit orders on Kraken down to sub 700. Blockchain technology has a lot of advantages to offer when it comes to security, and over time we will see more of our current exchanges move on to blockchain. However, a decentralized exchange provides much clearer transparency in a fusion than a centralized exchange and does a lot to even the playing field. There are still risks with using them since they are relatively new, but one of the biggest things holding them back right now are the fees, and there are plenty of new exchanges coming out that are looking to overcome this.